Jalen Hurts playing the way he is right now, he's amazing. You know what he did after the game?
What?
Went inside and lifted weights. I mean, once the game's over. It's over. It's in his rearview mirror, and he's going and trying to get better for the next game. He's kind of like a Dak Prescott in the fact that he just leads by example, and he tries to outwork everybody on the team. Like Dak does for the Cowboys, and he's a pace setter, man. And if Oklahoma, if they got that real wild kid from Phoenix, Arizona, Spencer Rattler, kind of undisciplined, and they think he's going to be the quarterback next year. He needs to be following Jalen's lead instead of, because that kid wanted to be the superstar. If you watch QB1 on Netflix, yeah, he's not a very likable kid, but he is a man of a lot of words, and Jalen Hurts is a man of few words.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen speaks through action, and so anyway, yeah, big, good convincing win for Oklahoma. Next thing we'll talk about.
Well, actually, let's switch gears. Let's go to Kansas. The Kansas game going to Longhorns. That was a shootout.
That was. I mean, Texas should be ashamed of themselves for letting themselves get in this kind of position. I mean, at home to Kansas. But Cameron Dicker the kicker, made a 33-yard field goal as time expired for Texas to hang on to win. You know what's jumped out on this? Teams exchanged 6 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I mean, is that crazy or what?
That is very odd.
Yeah, so it started off Texas, Rashawn Johnson, the converted quarterback, who's their running back now. 14-yard run, put Texas up 7-0. Then Jake Smith had a 10-yard pass from Ellinger in the first quarter, put him up 14-0. Then Liam Jones had a 23-yard field goal for Kansas to get 3. And then in the second quarter, Puka Williams Jr. had a 7-yard run to bring KU within 3. And then Jacoby Williams had a 7-yard pass from Carter Stanley. And Kansas went up 17-14. And then 2:19 left, Brennan Eagles had a 5-yard pass from Sam Ellinger. So Texas went into half leading 21-17. Third quarter, Stephen Robinson had a 9-yard pass from Carter Stanley to put KU up 24-21. Then Texas answered with a Cameron Dicker 39-yard field goal. And then Devin Duvernay for Texas had a 14-yard pass from Ellinger to put Texas up 31-24. And then Puka Williams for Kansas had a 16-yard run, make it 30-31. Then Deshaun Jamison for Texas had a PAT conversion to put him up 33-30. Then Devin Duvernay had a 43-yard pass reception from Ellinger to put Texas up 40-30. Then Liam Jones hit a 46-yard field goal to put KU within 7, so it was 40-33. Then Kansas, 4:25 left. Andrew Parchment, 11-yard pass from Carter Stanley to draw it even at 40-40. And then Keontae Ingram had a 3-yard run for Texas, put him up 47-40. And then Stephon Robinson Jr., 22-yard pass from Carter Stanley to put Kansas up 48-47 with minute 11 seconds left. And as time expired, Cameron Dicker kicked a 33-yard field goal. 6 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, Ellinger, 31-44 for 399 yards, 4 TDs, and 1 pick. Keontae Ingram was the lead rusher for Texas, 14 carries for 101 yards. Then Devin Duvernay was 8 receptions for 110 yards, 2 TDs for Texas. Carter Stanley, 27-47, 310 yards, 4 touchdowns for Kansas. And Puka Williams had 25 carries for 190 yards. Dude, had 190 yards rushing on Texas. And then Parchment had 3 receptions for 83 yards and a touchdown for Kansas. But I don't know. I don't know what's happening down there in Austin, but
over 97,000 people inside that game. I bet they're all holding their breath.
I know, right? Kansas, they come in here thinking it's going to be a cakewalk, but
I mean, Les Miles.
He can coach.
Yep.
He can coach. Third downs, efficiency. Kansas was 10 of 19. Texas was 9 of 14. Kansas was 2 of 2 on fourth downs. Texas 1 of 3. Total yards, Texas 638 yards. That's a lot of yards. Kansas 569. I bet Texas never thought they'd put that many yards up on them. Passing yards, Kansas had 310. Texas had 399. Yards per pass, 8.9 for Texas. Outstanding. 6.6 for KU. One interception by Ellinger. Rushing yards. Kansas rushed 259 yards on Texas. Texas had 239 yards rushing. But Kansas averaged 6.6 yards per rush. Texas averaged 6. I mean, both of them incredible. 7 penalties for KU, 8 for Texas. Texas had the 2 turnovers, but just a wildly entertaining game, man. Just 6 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, dude. I mean,
who does that?
That's just a track meet, That's what that is at that point. Yeah, but in all fairness, Texas, their secondary's hurt. I mean, almost every starter in there's out. So they luckily for them, they recruit 4 and 5 star athletes. I mean, that's all they recruit apparently. But we'll see what Coach Tom Herman can do with them, man. Well, the next game we wanted to talk about was one that we were really looking forward to because the week before, and we're talking about Clemson and Louisville. Louisville had scored 60 points the week before they played Clemson. They didn't score 60 against Clemson, did they, Michael?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, he threw 2 picks early in the game, but he threw 3 touchdowns, and Clemson won 45-10 over Louisville. Travis Etienne, rushed for 192 yards and a touchdown for Clemson. But all everybody was talking about after the game was the 2 picks and, the bad decisions that Trevor Lawrence was making.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and when you went back and watched it on the film, I mean, he was making some bad decisions, holding the ball. I guess, I don't know, maybe he's been eating the cheese, reading his own headlines. But he was 20 of 29, 233 yards, 3 TDs, 2 picks. Cunningham was abysmal for Louisville. He was 4 of 11 for 63 yards and a pick. We already talked about Etienne's 14 carries for 192 yards. Hawkins had 26 carries for 129 yards for Louisville. And Rogers for Clemson, 3 catches, 78 yards. Fitzpatrick, 3 for 63 for Louisville. This thing was never competitive. I mean, it was just a blowout from Jump Street. And, Clemson, being in the playoffs last year, everybody's, they're defending national champions, so people are just scrutinizing them just more heavily than, you would any other team. But this kid's, they're starting to expose some flaws in his game, or perceived flaws. But, third downs, Clemson was 5-11, Louisville was 5-14. Passing yards, Louisville 107 yards. 107. And Clemson had 253 yards per pass, 7.7. That's throwing down the field. Both teams had 2 picks. Rushing yards, Clemson really asserted their dominance, 298 yards rushing, whereas Louisville had 156. 8 yards a carry. That's pretty impressive for Clemson. At 3.6 for Louisville. Penalties, Clemson 6, Louisville 5. Louisville 3 turnovers, and Clemson 2. Time possession was about even. What jumped out to you, Michael?
Louisville having 51,000 people show to the game.
That was it?
That was it.
Wow.
But
number 2 team in the country at the time, or number 3, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just turnovers didn't help.
Nope.
Louisville. I mean, nothing.
It was just a talent mismatch.
Oh, yeah.
But I was thinking after seeing that 60, I'm like, okay, maybe they got some kind of scheme thing they're running here that is that would be it could test Clemson, but
Nope.
it didn't.
Nope. That was a one hit wonder. Like there are in college football, like one game you're like, hey, that looked really good. How did it? And then they got throttled the life out of them the next week. I mean, Clemson does have some flaws. They were kind of exposed earlier in the season against A&M, but A&M,
Right.
Well,
they lost a lot of talent to the draft last
Yeah.
year. I mean, a lot of their guys, they 4-year starters at left tackle and stuff like that. That's kind of hard to replace.
yeah. So Clemson's still 7-0. Louisville falls down to 4-3. On that, I mean, if you're a Clemson fan, you gotta be happy. Louisville, you'd be like, "What happened?"
Yeah, they are who they thought we were.
Yep.
They are.
One game that really stands out to me was BYU and Boise State. That was a big upset win.
That was.
Let's talk about that one. Well, you got the Boise State Broncos traveling to Utah to play BYU Cougars and Provo. So you got to admit, this game was
upset,
very upset. Boise State losing 25-28. Kind of interesting for BYU. What you see in that game, Jim?
Baylor Romney, making his first start for BYU, threw for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns to help them set them and snap a 3-game losing streak. But BYU, man, they beat USC, they beat Tennessee on the road. So, I thought these guys were for real, and I don't know whatever happened. They had a few losses, and now they're back. But I said Romney was 15-26 for 221 yards. Fino 11 carries for 89 yards for BYU, and Bushman 5 catches, 101 yards for BYU. Cord, he had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks for Boise, and Halani 20 carries, 97 yards. Evans 5 receptions, 77 yards. But this one was Boise come out there. C.T. Thomas had a 12-yard run for Boise, put them up 7-0. Lapini Katoa had a 4-yard run for BYU to knot it up at 7. Then Eric Saxey, 38-yard field goal for Boise, put them up 10-7 at half. Then third quarter, Sion Fano, 46-yard touchdown run for BYU. Then Matt Bushman, a 27-yard pass from Baylor Romney to put them up 21-10. Then Matt Bushman, a 39-yard pass from Baylor Romney. They went up 28-10 heading into the fourth quarter. And then the fourth quarter, it was, Boise couldn't run them down. Octavius Evans had a 13-yard pass from Chase Cord to bring it within 28-18. And then Killian Butler had a 5-yard pass with 3:17 left and brought it within 25-28. But, kudos to Boise, man. They're beating some big name programs this year.
Yes, they are.
Nobody's looking at the schedule and want to see those guys, especially if you're ranked. But they were only 4 of 13 on third down, and Boise was actually 50% on third down. Total yards were pretty close. There was like 17-yard difference, 359 to 342. BYU actually had more yards passing than Boise, 221 to 185. BYU still had 9 penalties for 84 yards. Boise had 4 penalties, but Boise had the 2 turnovers, which were costly. Time possession was practically even. But Baylor Romney, huh?
Yeah.
First start.
Yeah. Related
Hats
to
off to him.
Yeah, related to the Romneys somehow. We're trying to figure out the
He's
family,
really
the
former presidential candidate.
the family tree of Romneys, and also another Spencer Romney on the team too. So
Okay.
you got the Romney brothers, I guess you home. So
Final couple of games, we can finish up with our number 1 and number 2 teams. Hey, both of them in the SEC. Imagine that. Number 2, LSU improved their record to 7-0 with a 36-13 win over Mississippi State, and then Alabama lost their start.